God woke me up out of my sleep. And the first thing he said was the map.
You ever feel like you thought God told you to do something and it didn't work out the way you expected it to?
All right, Lord, I don't know the first step to take, but I guess that's crazy faith, right? That's just having faith. Just do it.
You're about to hear a conversation about hearing the voice of God and different ways we can recognize His voice. I was at a content creation workshop in Vegas and I did a series of 5 impromptu podcasts just in the span of a few hours. These are all interviews with people I had just met. Even so, I was blown away at the wisdom they had to share. None of these podcasts were planned, so bear with me with the audio. It will be worth it.
I'm here with Monique, the founder of Monique Media. And Monique, what do you do?
I help small business owners take photos of their products using their smartphone. The reason why I'm starting off with smartphone first is because typically when business owners start their business or whatever, they don't have the money or the means to hire a professional photographer right off the gate to take pictures of their products. So I teach them how to use something as simple as their smartphone in order to capture those beautiful images that will attract their ideal customers to hopefully land the sale.
Absolutely. And was that always the goal? Like, how did you find that was what you wanted to master?
You know, I work full time, but outside of that, I always sold my cakes. I was a a cake hustler, I guess.
Let's go. Yeah.
I sold cakes prior to COVID. I just did it on the side for extra income. And I've always taken my own photos. And so I've always had like other bakers and treat makers say, hey, who's taking the pictures of your images, like your photos? They look amazing. I'm like, well, I do them. Like, and I said it as if it was so easy, like, I do them. But then I realized that a lot of people don't have that skill set or don't know how to use their smartphone
Right.
in order to capture images. And so COVID happened.
Yeah.
I stopped selling cakes because no one knew what this COVID thing was. I was like, okay, what's going on with COVID? You know,
Right.
there's no in-person contact. So therefore, let me stop making these cakes.
Right.
And then during that, I guess that time is trying to figure out what was going on. A little voice with, God was like, hey, you need to go ahead and pivot to photography.
Wow.
This is something that I could still do and teach virtually.
Right.
And I heard it nice and clear, but I was like, nah, whatever. 3 or 4 months passed and I'm still hearing this, I'm having this void of baking.
Yeah.
And then I still want to do photography.
Yeah.
And so God was like, well, why don't you teach a class, bake some stuff and teach on how to take photos of these baked goods. So I did that during COVID. I released the course in October of 2020. And so far I have about 700 students enrolled into it.
Oh my goodness. Dang. You're crushing right now.
I do hope so. Yeah, I like to think so.
Was it an audible voice or were you kind of like in prayer and you just like, how did that work?
With the voice from God?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's funny. Anytime God speaks to me, it's first thing in the morning, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Like I literally wake out of my sleep and I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I just hear like the still voice. And obviously, if I'm waking up that morning and the first thing I think about is hearing God's voice, I know I need to listen because he's trying to tell me something.
Absolutely.
And so it sometimes it's to a point I'm like, okay, yes, Lord, I hear you. Now go back to sleep. And then like, no, wake back up.
Yeah.
Write it down. I'm like, write it down. I gotta get up. Every excuse in the book.
Yeah.
And of course, you want to be obedient. So I started writing things down. Didn't know how I was going to do it because people know me. They know me as first of all, people locally knew me as a baker.
Right.
No one in the social media world knew me as a photographer.
Right.
I was like, how am I going to convey this?
Yeah.
But it happened.
Okay.
Because I listened and I was obedient to the voice. So I was able to launch my product. My highest enrollment was between 2020 and 2021. The students enrolled.
Yeah.
And so here we are today,
How did you learn to distinguish that it was the voice of God? Because there's different voices, the enemies, those our own thoughts. How did you learn how to distinguish?
When my heart races.
Okay.
Anytime that God talks to me, my heart races and I start like, I can't describe, like a warm feeling.
Okay.
Versus my thoughts. I'm like, okay, yeah, and if it is my thought that I think is happening, I pray about what I'm thinking or hearing. And if I don't get confirmation,
okay,
like I said, early in the morning, I don't get that confirmation in the morning or even like Like literally my heart races.
Yeah.
That's how I know. And it's scary. Something that's very scary, something that's out of the norm that I typically wouldn't do.
That would challenge you.
That would challenge me and it would push me. I'm like, okay, all right, Lord. I don't know the first step to take, but I guess that's crazy faith, right? That's just having faith. Just do it.
Absolutely.
Just take the first step blindly. And then as you move, the next steps will be clear. And the mistakes, everyone stares of making mistakes, but that is where the lessons are taught in those mistakes. So I've definitely done mistakes trying to get the course recorded and out there and published, but I'm glad I made those mistakes because now I know what not to do.
Absolutely.
But you got to go through it in order to propel to the next step.
You ever feel like you thought God told you to do something and it didn't work out the way you expected it to?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I wasn't, and literally as we're sitting here talking,
Yeah.
God is like, show her the map.
Okay.
So last year in April, God woke me up out of my sleep. And the first thing he said was the map. At the map? Then he was like, no, the game board map.
Okay.
I went back to sleep. I was like, okay, whatever. So 10 minutes later, the map, it just kept nagging at me. That's how I know too.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get up and do something.
Yeah.
So I wake up and I see this image of a game board. God was like, go to Google and find this image. So
this is wild already.
yeah, I have it in my phone. Oh, here it is. I have it pinned as it's called Trusting God. It's called Trusting God. The whole message.
Can we show that to
Yes. It's right here. And this was originally created, well, I probably did some edits, but this was originally created in April last year. This is the roadmap.
Okay. That like
Yeah.
this
This is what he showed me. So I went to Google and found this image.
that was just
Remember, so he woke me out of my sleep and he said, the map, the game board, the map. Go to Google and just search. So I'm on Google just searching and looking. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. About to see. And then I came across this and said, there you go. So this whole conversation is a conversation between me and God. Me and God.
showed you that.
And that morning, this was the message on the Bible app.
It's Proverbs 3:5.
That was the message that morning on the Bible app.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your understanding. All your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. So he led you to Google, showed you this image and downloaded.
Yep.
This
was during a time where I was confused as to what's my next step.
okay.
For the longest, just confused, stuck.
Yeah. Were you
Stuck.
like, had you been fasting? Were you in prayer? Just like,
Yes. So yes. And I just been saying, Lord, give me answers. And when we make those requests to God, we want the answers right away, but he doesn't work like that. He doesn't work like that. So as you can see, the whole conversation says, God, me. So this whole conversation, and I can just give you the rundown of what this was.
yeah.
This
Were you
map,
asking questions and he'd be like,
we were literally having a conversation back and forth.
yeah, what, audible or in your spirit?
No, I was typing
Okay.
what I was hearing.
Yeah.
And then when he spoke, I had questions about what he was telling me,
Yeah.
which is why it says me. So when I asked the question and he immediately responded. And as he was responding, I was writing everything down.
Write it.
I was writing everything
Write the
down.
vision, make
Make it plain.
Yeah.
So just to give you a skinny on what this is, he said, start. I said, but where? And he was like, just pick a spot and just start.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, well, typically when you're on the game map, you want to start at the start line.
Yeah.
I started at the start line.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay, make the next move. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just, keep going forward. And on these types of game moves, you have different paths that you can take.
Yeah.
When you pull in the car, it tells you to go 3 steps back,
Right.
2 steps forward.
Yeah.
That's what this whole conversation. So as I'm going through this whole map, this game piece,
Yes.
I come across a road. Should I go this way or should I go that way?
Yeah.
He said, I don't know, just go. Do you believe? Trust. I said, okay, well, I'll go, but I'm not sure if I'm going the right direction. He said, well, it's okay. I'm still by your side. Do you believe? So as I go, I pick a path and I come to a fork in the road and I have to go a couple of steps back and I want to give up.
Yeah.
He said, okay, you can give up, but don't stop.
Yeah.
Regroup.
Yeah.
Figure out what went wrong, but keep going because there is a finish line.
Yeah.
that you need to get to.
Yeah. So he is encouraging you before you have even started. He said,
Yeah.
if it's gonna happen, you will get discouraged. Keep going.
Keep going.
Like it.
Keep going.
Okay.
And so at the very end, this is funny. I got to read this. So at the very end, God says, okay, I says, yeah, so time goes by and I don't make any moves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, God, are you still there? He said, I've never left you. I'm always here. You are the one that stopped. I didn't tell you to stop, but I'm a gentle God. I'll let you do what you want, but I'm always here. Now, when you do what you want and not doing what I'm telling you, there's going to be consequences along the way, right? So, so God was like, fast forward to the finish line. I said, okay, yay, I made it. I feel accomplished. God was like, okay, great. You made it to the finish line. Are you ready for the next step? And I'm like, the next step? I thought it was finished. He said, nope, that was just a taste of what I can do. I want to prosper you and excel you. You live in the land of plenty. There is more to do and more to achieve and more lives to impact. Are you ready? And so that was my expression when he said, are you ready? Line number 44. I'm like, all these spaces, but I'm at the end. I said, yes, I'm ready. And so God was like, okay, put on your running shoes. There's going to be roads. There's a stumbling block. There's a, stoplight. There's a trophy and the goal at the end.
Absolutely.
So, and I said, thank you, God. I received it. April 26, 2024 at 5:08 in the morning.
That's incredible.
5 o'clock in the morning. We're having this. Yeah. So when I know it's, when I definitely know it's something from God, he wakes me out of my sleep. Absolutely. And I hate to say nag.
Yeah.
But he will keep pushing it until I actually write it down and just get it on paper.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I know. And then like the whole time I'm like, my heart is racing.
Yeah. I have a story about that too. Last year I kept waking up at 4:40 a.m. night after night, 4:40. And I said, no, I'm not trying to wake up at 4:40. Turn to go back to sleep. Happened a few times, like maybe Holy Spirit's trying to talk to me. And so I got out my Bible, I'm reading, I'm looking for chapter 4, verse 40. I'm not finding nothing sticking out. And then I started reading 4:40, FOR, the number 40. Jesus fasted and prayed for 40 days and 40 nights. The Israelites wandered the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. God flooded the earth. And this is all a few months before my 40th birthday, before I turned 40. Oh. And so there's this pattern in the Bible of, 40 and wilderness and, going through the desert. And God started to speak to me about a new season, just like you, that I was going in a new direction, that I was going in.
That's what I'm
And so, God does wake you up in the middle. So there was one time, because we have 3 boys. I'm a mom of 3 boys in the natural. And again, doing my thing. And God started to speak to me. This is all during the same time that you're a mom of 3 boys. You're a boy mom in the natural. But in the supernatural, you're going to be a spiritual mother to many daughters.
Many.
And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yes.
But I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
And it's a vision. It's just a little small vision that he gives you hope and encouragement and guidance to keep going. So as long as he's in your corner, you can mess up all day long, but he's going to show you the correction. He's going to show you the way to go.
He has, yeah.
So I know what we're doing it seems scary. You don't know, but that's good.
Yeah.
Because what we don't know is what we rely on him to do.
That makes us trust God.
That makes us trust him.
Can't do it. This is on you.
What I'm not worried that we have to do. But as long as we have that strength from him, we got this. Now, we got this, with our blinders on, not knowing what's coming ahead. But even the bad things that may come, that will come, that's not going to shake us.
Yeah.
It's going to make us learn the lesson, rely on God even more. It's building that bond, that relationship with him to get even closer to him.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for sticking around to this point if you're still here. I filmed these in the lobby in between everybody filming in the studio, so we would get interrupted periodically, which is why there is an abrupt stop sometimes. If any of this resonated with you, I would love for you to follow along with my content and podcasting journey. My goal is to bring you content that inspires and encourages you or moves the needle even just a little bit in your spiritual growth, in your business, in your content creation journey. So hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.